You're listening to For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation.
Hello there.
All right, everyone, welcome back to For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation. We are here to talk about the Acolyte episode 1 and 2. We have the full team here for the first time in a while, and here to discuss the Acolyte with us is Scotty Holiday themselves. How are you today?
I'm good. I am ready to talk about the Acolyte. I'm so stoked.
I'm so excited. So excited. The fact that we've had to wait until Saturday was killing me personally. Because this was the first Star Wars show I was actually able to watch live as it happened in a while. Because since I got the new job, I haven't been able to do the 3 a.m. watch times anymore. And
well, thankfully, it's 9 p.m.
Thankfully,
now.
it's 9 p.m. this time. So thank you for that. I was able to watch it the day of and not have to worry about not getting it spoiled for me the next day, like I was with the Bad Batch. So we are here to talk about Lost/Found and Revenge/Justice. And well, we've obviously talked about the Acolyte a lot in the lead up to it on this show. But Scotty, this is the first time you've been on the show, so tell me, what has been your thoughts about the show in the lead up to it? What were you thinking about it? What was your anticipation like? And what were your overall brief thoughts on the episode before we get into this?
So for me, when it comes to the Acolyte and the High Republic in general, as a queer person, you think I'd be very into the High Republic publishing initiative. I kind of missed it. And so this was my first entry into the High Republic, and I was really excited about that because there's just so many books, so many comics. I already felt so behind, so I was like, all right, maybe if I like this show, then I'll go back and read some of the books. And it's been something I've been interested in, and the show looked great with everything from the leaked trailer they showed at Celebration that I got to see online in horrible quality. It even looked good there. And then, both the trailers that they've put out. After that second trailer too, I was like, I'm not watching anything else. I don't want to see any teasers. I don't want to read no articles. I'm ready to just go into this and be wowed. So that's kind of where I'm at. And after watching it, I'm definitely wowed.
Yeah, no, I was a really big fan of the trailers. I think we all were here on this panel. And I just, from the beginning of this show being announced, I was like, oh, this is intriguing. It was like the show itself obviously really intrigued me in the premise. I was like, okay, I'm really digging this. It's in the High Republic. We have a mystery thriller in the Star Wars universe. I had never seen Russian Doll, but I had heard plenty of great things about it. So I was like, cool, Leslie Helen seems like a good person to run this whole show. But it was what it represented more that really appealed to me, is that it was the first story in live action we've had outside of the Skywalker saga.
Yes.
That to me, it's like, if this works, if this is successful, the opportunities and the different things that this could lead to, that's what really intrigued me, because it could be Disney going, okay, we can tell stories without needing Luke in here at some point. So let's just be more creative. And I hope that that's what comes out of the Acolyte at the end of this, is not only great reviews and overall good thoughts, is okay, we can do stuff outside the box. Let's go from there and see what we're happening. We're kind of seeing that with the Dawn of the Jedi movie coming up, whenever we get that, and then the Rey movie coming up. There are two things there that are outside of our familiarity bubble. So this is really intriguing to me. And I mean, I'm a phase behind. I'm not caught up like Conor is for the most part. But
no, I'm not. I have not been caught up in a while. When it comes to phase 2, I have not really started on phase 2. I finished maybe 2 books. Phase 3, I've started some of the comics, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel less bad
behind. Yeah.
Don't feel bad, Scott.
I am aware,
Reading is
but it's hard.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and trying to keep up in general with Star Wars books, but then trying to keep up with all the High Republic books. There's a lot of books.
It's a marathon.
A lot of books.
It's not
when I tell you I've got at least like 10 books on backlog now. Like I've got because I'm currently reading Quest for Planet X to try and finish phase 2 before I start phase 3. And my hope was, I can get caught up until like Temptation of the Force comes out in a few days. Turns out I've got at least 5 books to read, and I think that's it's 6 if you count the manga. So
I have
there's a lot.
I have Darkness and Defy the Storm on my bookshelf, but I'm not getting to those for a while.
Same.
It's gonna be a little bit until we get to that. But
I also really want to read the Thrawn books, but I'm not getting anywhere near those.
I'm tempted, but Thrawn Twitter can be it's kind of scary as an outsider. So
High Republic brain rots at the moment.
So yeah, before we get into the show proper, I just wanted to ask you, Scotty, something I like to ask first-time guests on the pod is what do you have a first memory of the Star Wars franchise? What got you into Star Wars? Do you have a story that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, definitely. I have a really fond memory of my first Star Wars. I was, oh God, now I have to do the math. I was 6, and my mom took me to see The Phantom Menace, and happy 25th anniversary. I know we're a little bit past that, but I just got to throw it out there because it just passed.
Yes.
It was my first time. I had no idea what it was, knew nothing. And I came out of that theater just buzzing. I was so wowed by the universe, wowed by the Jedi, the Sith, even I don't know if I was wowed by the political stuff, but I am now. I love that. But it was just insane. And it just kind of blew my mind. And it's funny because anytime I see my mom now, I'm like, you did this to me. And she doesn't even watch Star Wars like that. My stepdad and I will talk about the shows. I try to keep him caught up. She does not care. And I'm like, it's just so funny that she was the one who
your fault.
Yeah, she's the one that got me into this. Little did she know where I would end up, this many years later. But yeah, I just remember riding home, scrunching up my eyes and watching the lamps as we drove by and the street lights kind of flashing, and I was like, oh, they kind of look like lightsabers. So I was hooked from then, and it's been this ever since.
Yeah, I always just like getting everyone's different perspective on how they were introduced to Star Wars, because with a franchise that's almost 50 years old, everyone has a different entry point, and that's the wonderful thing about this fandom. Even when we're shrouded in negativity and discourse, there's always good stories, and everyone has their own personal connection to the franchise, and that was the big reason why I wanted to start this little thing, besides talking about the Clone Wars, was to get everyone's personal connections to the franchise and go from there. So, Conor, I don't know if you planned on this because you just kind of surprised us beforehand, but it's been a while, and we also have a little segment we like to do on this called the Jedi Archives.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
It has been a little bit since we've done the archives here. We did not do it on our last Bad Batch recap, which if you missed it, Don and I finally got to the series finale earlier in the week, talked about the Cavalry has arrived. You can check that out if you have not been able to, because we've been all so busy with the Acolyte. I needed to talk about the Farewell of Clone Force 99 at some point. Don, it's been a little bit. So
yeah,
time we did this was right before the series finale, which means choice, Nashir Dalal is our most recent entry into the Jedi Archives. So, Scotty, just to be more clear here, because I kind of gave you a rundown before we started this, but basically this is our version of the podcast Hall of Fame. All nominate something Star Wars adjacent into the Jedi Archives. We put it up to a Twitter poll afterwards, and the winner gets inducted on the next show. We really can go for whatever. It's just been a madhouse here.
Yeah, I'm putting in Yord.
You're putting in Yord?
Yep.
All right. That's the Yord Horde has been nominated for the archives. But Don,
cool
do you have something in mind for the list?
I do. I do. So because I assumed we were going to kind of go with High Republic theming for our nominations this week. So for my nomination, I'm going to go with Charles Soule because in episode 2, because I know we're going to talk about it, we got a mention of the Barash Vow, and that first debuted in Charles Soule's Darth Vader comics. And honestly, all of the High Republic authors deserve a place in the archives, in my opinion, because they've each contributed like something amazing to this initiative. Like whether it's like Claudia Gray just like writing an amazing story like the Fallen Star, Tessa Gratton with her work in Phase 2, and it just goes on and on. Daniel Jose Older as well. I've got to mention him for like Trail of Shadows and the other young adult novels. But yeah, Charles Soule, because of that mention of the Barash Vow, I've got to mention him here because he's created so many cool and interesting concepts for Star Wars. Like his Darth Vader comic is not just where the Barash Vow comes from, but also where the idea of bleeding bleeding kyber crystals so that they turn red, which is one of the coolest concepts that someone has thought up for a Star Wars like project in a while, in my opinion. But yeah, I still love Light of the Jedi, still one of my favorite Star Wars books. The Darth Vader comic series is my favorite comic run currently of Star Wars, just inching it out over Jason Aaron's Star Wars run. So yeah, it's got to be Charles Soule as my nominee.
When you look back and think about just how much High Republic stuff that the authors had sprinkled into their stories years before the initiative even began, it makes you wonder just how long, like, in development and like how long they've had this idea in mind before we actually got it in 2021. It's just great because it was announced in 2020 and then COVID delayed everything. But like Jedi Lost, the Dooku book, is the one that like a lot of people go to because that has a lot of High Republic references in it. And then Rise of Kylo Ren, Charles Soule's comic, had an Avar Chris appearance in there. But like,
and the vaccine station as well.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about that. Yep, that's Snoke's base in that comic. But like little things like the Barash Vow introduced in that run started in 2017, becomes important in THR like 4 or 5 years later, and now it's made its way into live action storytelling. I'm going to nominate Master Soule or Lee Jung Jae, or just both equivalent to each other. Just because the fact that this is his first English-speaking role, and he nails it. He's incredible in this show. I already loved him because I was really big into Squid Game when it first came out. I was like,
same.
I love this freaking show. I loved his character, and I was so excited when he was cast in this because that was like right during Squid Game Mania. I was like, oh my god, fuck yeah. Ji-hoon as a Jedi, absolutely. I want this so bad. And he's been great so far. He's been like, this is not a new description, but he's like the perfect mixture of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon for me. And I'm very curious to see how his story plays out. I love his fatherly dynamic with Osha. And yeah, so I'm nominating Master Soule. And the hair too. Great head of hair.
Really good hair.
Very good. Yeah, I'm surprised how good it looks because he didn't grow that out.
I don't think he
There's
grew it
some
out.
kind of extensions or something, but it looks very good, and that makes me happy. I hate a bad wig.
No, right there with you. I remember, this is completely unrelated, but I remember my mind being blown because I didn't know until about 3 years ago that Obi-Wan's beard in Attack of the Clones was fake.
Yeah, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think it's real in Revenge of the Sith, but it's a fake beard in Attack of the Clones. And I remember my mind being blown because I looked at a certain shot. I'm like, crazy. I can kind of see it, but
like, is it fake? Like, do they say it's fake as in like CGI or fake as in like something?
It's like a prosthetic, like
oh yeah,
like it's like a fake beard. It's not a CGI beard. It's not
like
Henry
Master
Cavill in Justice League.
Torben's. It's like Master Torben's gorgeous beard in episode 2.
Yeah,
if you look
it reminded me of that.
If you look too hard.
Did that blow for anyone? It blew my mind that he was played by the actor who played Tommen Baratheon in Game of Thrones. That was crazy, especially when he first showed up with like the hair and the beard and stuff. I was like, is that the kid from Game of Thrones?
They made him look rough.
My mind was like Torben. I was like, I've heard this name before, and then I had to do a Wikipedia, and I was like, all right, he's not Buckets of Blood. That's not the same.
Yeah, like literally Like I shit you not. Like when I heard the name Master Torbin, a soundbite of Christina Ariel's voice just like blared in my head. Buckets of blood.
Oh, that's why it sounds okay. I was wondering too. I'm like, why does this sound so familiar?
More THR brain rot here. But Scotty,
We're just
do
smiling
you
and
have
nodding
something
along.
to share with us for the archives this week?
Okay, so Connor kind of took what I was gonna say because I was gonna say Yord's titties, but I don't want to double up because I don't think that's fair. So I'm going to swing it around. Still High Republic. My connection to the High Republic, Dagon Gera, sexy gray man.
Ooh,
Nice.
there we go.
If I can't have Yord's titties, I'm gonna have the gray titties. So.
You're gonna have the gray titties. Yeah, I'm still so behind with Survivor, man. I need to finish it.
Oh,
I'm dragging my feet.
I'm literally halting all of my Dagon thoughts because that's just going to be spoilerific. I don't want to spoil any more.
I know little things, but that's about it. I don't want a repeat of when we had Alden on and Alden spoiled the main death of that fucking game.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say
right after I said I'm not there yet. Right there. I'm like, damn it.
I mean, we're all fans. You know, when we
We're all-
start going on something, like we're gonna tell you everything and anything and every little fact.
Well,
so
I expect nothing less from the Epic Confrontations world champion.
literally.
Congrats, I guess. Anyways,
That's
those
getting
are our
clipped out.
nominations for the Jedi Archives this week. We have Yord representing the Yord Horde. We have Master Soul. We have Charles Soul, no relation. And we
Double
have
Soul.
Dagon Gera from Jedi Survivor. So, pretty stacked lineup this week. After this episode is posted, we will put a Twitter poll up, and you, that's right, you, the listeners, can nominate or choose what our induction is this week for the Jedi Archives. All right, now let's just peel off the Band-Aid. Let's get into the Acolyte. I was very surprised because I don't know how many of you got to see the special footage that they showed for the Acolyte when the Phantom Menace got re-released.
Oh, that.
I was very surprised.
Advanced screen.
Oh no! Nope. I wish. You think Star Wars would have a screening in not New York City, anywhere else in New York? You're very wrong. But I was very surprised that was the very first scene we had in the entire series was this fight between May and Indara.
Mhm.
First of all, I just want to. This is going to be one of my probably many rants against a certain section of this quote unquote fandom. I apologize in advance.
I already know what it is.
I apologize in advance. Why would you have Carrie-Ann Moss in the show if you're going to kill her in one scene?
Not the point.
That's the fucking point. Like literally, like you have a recognizable name, and oh, whoops, the stakes are immediately off there because she bites the dust. And also, I don't know how you could have seen those clips and seen the story and not think that this was going to be the thing that happened. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of in that because like I had no. So I'm losing my train of thought right now. Now we're back on track because I tend to hyperfixate on stuff a lot. Star Wars is kind of taking a back seat to like this guy and this team right here. Now international Phillies legend Bryce Harper.
I saw Amy's tweet. Yeah, it's international.
So when it came to the marketing for Acolyte and like all the interviews that you get with all the casts and like, you know, them going on like all the radio shows and all the TV shows, like talking about the show and everything, I had no idea what the hell was going to happen. So like everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, a Jedi dies or whatever. And it sets off this whole mystery. And I'm like, I genuinely was like, I wonder who it's going to be actually. Just not thinking it was going to be Carrie-Ann Moss's character. And when it was, I was like, oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. This sucks to see. Because she just saved
I'm bummed out.
Saved somebody.
I'm bummed out because Master Indara, I'm like, I bought the Black Series. I was
like,
all here for it.
It's like Grand Inquisitor said, their compassion leaves a trail.
The scene, it was awesome. And I'm I'm certain we're gonna get more of her in flashbacks.
I really just
I was
loved her
gonna
back.
say,
yeah, but
the
like
bangs. She's
it's
coming
Oh
back.
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like shock value, and also like have you seen this little movie called Scream, where they literally do the same thing in the first scene, recognizable name, boom, killed instantly.
Oh, love that.
I didn't
love
think
that.
about that. I
Like,
wouldn't be shocked if Leslie Headland pulled from Scream in terms of that influence, because she's cited a lot of really cool stuff. Like I was really confused initially when she said that Frozen was an influence. Kill Bill I got, but Frozen I was like, really?
Oh,
But now that
now I
see
kind
these
of get it.
episodes,
Now I
kinda
kind of get
see.
it. Does
Yeah, I
that mean
see
we're
where
getting a
it's
musical
going.
number? I'm sure people would react totally normally.
Oh, people,
about that.
people,
Oh,
the
I would
worst
love
kind of
it.
people would melt down, and I'd be here for that, honestly. But yeah, I was also I'd figured it out. I suppose I guessed that Master Indara was probably going to be killed off in that sequence. There were certain moments in the trailers, and also her lightsaber is on that very chilling poster of like the blood streak. It kind of gave me vibes that she wasn't long for this galaxy.
Yeah, to me, I thought they were kind of like making it quite obvious.
Yeah,
But
like they were setting people up, just like giving people subtle clues. And while I am obviously gutted to see Carrie-Anne Moss go, because obviously I was so hyped to see her, like, you know, I love The Matrix, she's awesome in those movies, and to see her like kick butt as a Jedi, even if it was very brief, it so far was really cool. But you know, it's not just for like shock value in a lot of ways. Obviously, it's a great way of like giving us that kind of shocking death and show that the stakes are very high in this and that Jedi can be killed. It is a High Republic story after all, but also it kind of demonstrates something we're going to see, because just to skip ahead, the first episode ends with that stranger, that strange Darksider, the mysterious man on the rock, saying to May, you can't kill a Jedi with a weapon, but an acolyte kills the dream. And the whole kind of like episode is kind of slowly starting to hint at like what that's about, because over and over again in these two episodes, you see characters act with compassion and they are punished for it. Like, because this is the High Republic era. This is the story that is supposed to be transitioning us out of the High Republic era and into the more murky world of the prequels, where the Jedi are a lot more compromised and it's a lot easier to manipulate them into fighting in the Clone Wars. And the way that happens, it seems, is that their compassion gets taken advantage of, because like the fight itself is really cool. Like the choreography is great, but it almost ends in an anticlimactic way. Like it's not a particularly showy way. She stops a dagger, and then the dagger just goes and then the other dagger just goes fucked into her, like very, very like anticlimactic, and it's almost kind of disappointing. And like when I watched it, I legitimately went, "Oh, that's really dirty. That's such a dirty move," because that's the point. Like it's not dignified. It's not an honorable way to combat a warrior of clear prowess, like Master Indara demonstrates in just that one scene. And it's kind of going about showing how
chip at their compassion.
Yes,
you got them.
But that's it. Like that's the thing that kind of harms compassion. The thing that kills a Jedi's, the dream of the Jedi, which is their compassion, because the Jedi strive for a compassionate galaxy. And so, how do the Darksiders and the Sith chip away at that? They react with cruelty, because if you are repeatedly met with cruelty when you extend compassion to people, of course you're going to toughen up. Of course you're going to recede. Of course you're going to be more cautious around people. And that is, I think, a big theme that Leslie Headland is playing with here. And I'm really interested to see how it pans out, especially with this ongoing mystery.
The one thing I wanted to say is just how good this whole scene looked, not just choreography wise, but like the way it's shot, the sets, and the planet itself looked great. It was like, okay, I see that Pinewoods influence in this show now. Like I see that it's not just all in the volume like a lot of these live action shows. I know. I'm right there with you. But it looked so good. And I loved just a little detail about, yes, Indara's appearance was brief, and it was a bit. I'm upset that she was a one scene wonder too. For now, she'll be in more flashbacks. But just she was the perfect amalgamation of what like the Jedi of the High Republic were in this scene. She refused to fight May until May attacked a civilian first. She refused to bring out her lightsaber until the very end of the fight. conveniently when May's face was revealed, so it's like something's not right here. We're unraveling some bits of the mystery early
She also
on.
saw the tattoo as well, because there's that white
yep.
spiral tattoo on May's forehead that is obviously linked to the Coven of Witches,
yep.
that Jodie Turner-Smith's character is leading. I swear, if they're related to the Path of the Open Hand, I'm going to throw something.
Don might die.
The only thing that would be worse is like Mark Rowe having like a secret cameo at this point.
Oh no, some people would love that. But I also love the little detail of May going up to the bartender after she kills Indara, and it looks like she's going to kill him. But then she looks down, she sees the cute little baby, and then stops. So I'm like, okay, so she's not all gone yet. We know that she's driven by anger, she's driven by rage, she wants revenge. All big things of the dark side, and we know that something happened 16 years ago when this fire happened that they talk about throughout the series that allegedly killed her and then killed the rest of her family. But we know that there's more that they're letting on. Just little things like May not being in OSHA's file on the Jedi at the Jedi Temple.
That caught me off guard. I was like, oh, y'all kept this hidden.
And these 4 very specific Jedi that were on that planet, which I'm forgetting the name of, that this all went down. Brendok. Yep. Yeah. They were all on that planet when this happened, and those are her 4 targets. So clearly something happened there that I think we're going to get revealed, and it's going to be like, ooh, Jedi not looking too good here. And like, again, people say, oh, they're making the Jedi the villains. The Jedi are still, again, I don't know how many times I got to say this, they are clearly the good guys. However, they are not perfect. And this is set during the period where they're at, like, we're getting towards the end of the High Republic, which is when they were at the height of their powers, but they're starting to lose their way a little bit. And then when we get to the Phantom Menace, we get to the prequels, we see them fully dogmatic, fully, again, still the good guys, but they're corrupt in a way. Their vision is clouded, and that's how Palpatine takes advantage of them, turns the Republic against them, and then boom, Order 66, his plan works perfectly.
Yeah,
we're starting to see the little cracks of that here.
Tree of it all.
And I think we're going to get that a lot in this show of, this is bad. Maybe the general public doesn't need to know about this. Like little stuff like that.
Isn't it interesting? Like, so obviously when Venestra Rose shows up, what's most interesting is that one of the first things she says about this is that, if people were to learn that a former Jedi was behind this murder, and then Master Soul finishes for her and says, our political enemies could use it against us, they're very concerned about like the optics of it already. So this is they're clearly getting into kind of stuff like this.
And obviously it's like, 100 years later for Venestra Rose, but like
there's a little.
There's that, it's like, come on, Vern, you're better than this.
I mean, even I don't know her. Even I don't know her that well, but when like that exchange happened, I was like, really, girl? The wise Jedi Master who was like a prodigy from her heyday? And I was like, and you're being like worried about the political shit already?
Yeah.
I dread to think what either what she has been through in like the years since phase 3, or what she's going to go through during that era, because she has very clearly been hardened by like time and experience. It's really cool to see her here, and the actress playing her does a really good job at having
Rebecca
flickers.
Henderson,
Yes, Rebecca Henderson, of like having flickers of empathy come through, because she's not entirely cold, Venestra, but she has very much hardened up. She's very much like kind of thinking in terms of politics and optics strategically, as opposed to empathically, which is like how a lot of the Jedi in the High Republic operate. Which you could argue that maybe like the state she is now is what the end point of whatever this dark sider has planned for the Jedi. Like you could kind of argue that thematically she's the end point of where the Jedi are headed for currently, but we'll have to see if she thaws out over the course of the series.
And I'm glad that thankfully the like, did she do it thing like didn't last long, and that we immediately like by midway through episode 2, all the people that were like, I think you did it. We're like, okay, well you didn't do it. Like I'm glad that we're like off that train, and like even Venestra, even though she was still like, you got to go through the council. it was still like, okay, yeah, no, Soul, I believe you. You're right.
Yeah.
There's evidence here. So that part, I'm glad that we weren't going in, because I think it would be a little frustrating if the whole time they were still like, but did she actually not do it? Like, so I'm glad that we were caught up to date with that very quickly. But going,
it's like
to
Phoenix
our
Wright, isn't it?
introduction
Like with Edgeworth. Oh yeah, like I've got a bit of a delay, I think, but yeah, it's like the Phoenix Wright games where like you will prove something and then you'll have Edgeworth come in and say, "Oh yes, but if she didn't do it, then who did do it?" I'm quoting a Dubas Goobas video as opposed to like the Ace Attorney games, but I have played them, so there's always that kind of like contrivance of stuff. But I was really glad, like you said, that they didn't go that direction. That Osha's innocence is proven straight away, as quickly as possible, which is just it means we can just get on with like uncovering the mystery and dealing with the much more interesting idea of like these twins and what exactly their connection is, and like how this connects back to the incident on Brendok, which is just easily the most intriguing part of the show for me.
Yeah. And speaking of Osha, I'm glad we were introduced to her right away, and they didn't like tease us like, are they one person or are they actually twins? Because they didn't flat out say it in the marketing that they were two separate characters, but a lot of people predicted it.
Yeah.
And I guess Leslie Headland, in like a week before the show premiered, like did confirm it in an interview. Like, yeah, this is Osha and May. Amandla Stenberg plays two different characters. I did not know that before I started watching. So I was like briefly looking at the Wikipedia article to like see what the reviews were. And I see that and I'm like, well, shit. I would have liked to have been surprised by that. Yeah. But I like that we're just immediately introduced to her and we can tell that these are two separate characters. We ripped the Band-Aid off right away. And we get to see her work as a mechanic. And speaking of the Phantom Menace that we talked about earlier, we get to see Nemoidians in live action again.
Yes.
What a beautiful time.
They look so good.
They did, yeah.
They did, yeah.
And they even like captured like at least to me, like the voice not sounding quite right. Like it was just like the perfect amalgamation for Nemoidians here, which I loved. And I love that like even 100 years before the Phantom Menace, they're still like breaking international, like, oh, you're not allowed to have humans be out there fixing these things. And even when Yord shows up, they're like, there are no Jedi here. There is no one here. Like,
it's perfectly legal what we're doing
perfectly
here.
legal what we're doing
on our humble ship.
We definitely aren't going to invade a planet in 100 years and kick off a giant glass.
Totally not capitalist exploitation at all. Yeah,
literally.
I also. Oh yeah, sorry. You go first.
No. I was going to segue, so you go right ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna mention about Yord very gleefully using the mind trick on the Nemoidian that you can help the smile. But I was also going to say about that sequence that's really cool is that we see some of Osha's like day-to-day life there very briefly with like her co-workers and stuff, and how this is a decent life, but you can tell that she's somewhat detached from it. And I also have to mention the fact that we got a Vector in live action. Like I kind of let out a noise when that thing flew by, because I those are one of my favorite aesthetic things from the High Republic era. The ship design is cool, so awesome. The fact that they are powered by a Jedi's lightsaber is just a really neat concept. So they just look so sleek and lovely, and to see one, even if it's like an updated version, fly by in the background was great. I hope we see more of them.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. But then thankfully, we get the first glimpses of something happened with Osha when she's out there repairing the ship, and something starts to speak to her when she sees something. I don't know what it is. Definitely something out there on the ship. And it kind of like calls back to a memory, and she gets reminded of her sister. And we're like, okay, so we're starting to put the pieces together. Okay, so she thinks May is dead, and then something happened with her family. Boom, we find more throughout the episode. Nothing else happened that people have been unnecessarily upset about in this scene.
Andrew, this is all new information to me. I was too busy flying into a frothing rage because there was fire in space. So
this is
like,
the new Scotty. You weren't around when we were talking about Andor, but the thing that we did during that recaps was the big right-wing grift during that point was them claiming that there were no connections or Easter eggs in that show, and then there ended up being a bunch. So our new version of there are no Easter eggs in Star Wars is there's no fire in space for this show, I think.
I'm like,
it's in like the thing that I immediately went to was this is like the scene in The Phantom Menace again when they're on all the R2 droids go up and they're fixing Padme's ship, and then they all get blown up, and then there's fire on that ship, and I'm like, this is the humans doing the dangerous droid work because the Trade Federation is doing some shady shit. Apparently, we've never seen this before. Didn't see on fire Star Destroyers. Didn't see the entire Battle of Coruscant. Explosions, Death Stars exploding. As Conor joked about, like, wait till you see water in space when they're literally putting out the fire with the firefighter droids in Revenge of the Sith in space. Like, guys, come on now. It's also a space fantasy. This series has never been grounded in realism. George Lucas literally said, yeah, if I want space to have air in it when I want, it's going to have air in it. Like, but it's different now because a woman directed
because it's woke.
And it stars people of color.
It's actually
different. It's woke. Yeah,
because it's like, let's be real. If that is honestly a breaking point for you that there was fire in space, then you have to just write off the whole franchise because that's been there since the first movie. The whole you basically would have no Star Wars, and I always kind of come away with wondering, like, do you actually feel angry about this, or is this really just like a grift for money? And obviously, it is mostly the latter. Like, because there'll be some people who genuinely will buy into this because they're all riled up because some idiot on the internet like told them to be mad about women and LGBTQ people or like people of color and being in a Star Wars project because apparently that's some kind of like indicative of like some kind of agenda or something. Like, come on, like you've literally it boggles my mind every time, and like it's very indicative that
they're all bums.
Exactly. Like, it's very indicative that is the best that they can come up with. That their criticism, that their analytical mind is so vacuous that is the best thing that they can come up with. A knife kills someone, but a lightsaber doesn't. There's fire in space. The whole show's ruined. Like, it's just.
Do you want to do you think you'd live if you got stabbed in the heart with a knife?
I don't know.
That's my question.
Probably not.
That's the central blood pumping thing. Yeah. So,
and lightsabers cauterize wounds, and so depending on where you're stabbed, you could probably live through it if you got medical attention. A knife doesn't cauterize wounds, so you'll bleed out, especially if you're left alone in a bar, like Master Indara was. They made a point of everyone getting the hell out of there.
Yeah.
I'm tired. It's all right there. I know. It's like, and that's kind of. I always feel like that is the point that they kind of go for, to exhaust us all.
Scene too.
Yes,
like it's exactly. Like I watched it and I was like, little did I know when I was watching this scene that would be the big talking point on the internet the next day. I'm like, that. Oh yeah, that did. And I'm like, it didn't even register in my mind that something was wrong about that, because again, my head immediately went to that
it didn't register in your mind, Andrew, because you're not a bum.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, because your media literacy level is like way higher than these people, because you're actually paying attention to the characters and the story, like the stuff that matters.
And let's be honest, who gives a shit?
Exactly.
Space fantasy for a reason.
Oh,
exactly.
I die by a lightsaber or a knife. Buddy, you could die by a blaster to the heart. Like, who gives a shit?
Where was it's not realistic for the Jedi to die of clone blaster fire. What?
Tell that to Pong Krell. Tell it to all the Jedi that died in Order 66.
Oh, don't tell it to Pong Krell.
You're going to tell me Order 66 was a hoax? Yeah,
not real.
Guess what?
Where's the evidence?
That's a chopping block, buddy.
Yeah,
I mean,
Christ.
It's just
you
really
probably would get nominated to Palpatine's court. if you said Order 66 was a hoax, but let's be real here.
It's just really telling, just because if these are the things that you're grasping onto, and these are the things that you're critiquing, then it's like, oh, so the series must actually be pretty good, because you're like grasping at straws you're like looking for things to not like. And I think
that's entirely what I'm getting from these critiques, because I have seen legit critiques of the show, and I'm like, okay, those are totally valid. That is not what we're talking about here, just to make this very clear. If you just watched The Acolyte and you weren't vibing with it, that is entirely okay. It is the people that need to make up these fake outrage bait things to rile people up, when in reality, they're just mad because it's someone that doesn't look like them directing and starring in the thing that they treasure, like it's this big thing. And newsflash, people, George Lucas, the person that you hold is like a higher power to you people, would have hated all of you, and probably already did, considering what you said about him in the 20 years after he released the prequels and what he said he did to your childhood. But rant over. I'm moving on. I apologize. Oh, yeah. Let's get back to Jord showing up. And this guy's such a dork, man. Like little things I picked up on, like him just like not being prepared for Osha to walk in. He's like slung over. He's like, oh, I'm
and he just stands up and like straightens his robe and looks disappointed that he wasn't like standing to attention. That's great.
And we see him arrest Osha because the bartender walks in and is like, oh, that's her. That's the one that did it. But I also just want to shout out his Padawan, who's a Zygerian Jedi, which I think is pretty sweet. Leslie
going against the grain there.
I know. She said in interviews that, like, I think it was Alex Damon that asked her this question, and it was like, oh yeah, I really love Zygerians, so I wanted to put a Zygerian Jedi in the show. And boom, there she is in the first episode as Jord's Padawan.
She looks good.
She does, yeah. I'm forever like, I'm like, ooh, I don't like you because of the Clone Wars arc. But she looked good here, and I think this might be the first time that we've seen them in live action. It's the first time I can think of.
So, yeah.
And I thought it looked great. I thought all of the alien species looked really good.
Yeah,
we had the alien from the whole Old Republic era show up, which was awesome. The one that's on the box art, which I just thought was awesome, that he's just there in the background.
Oh, but remember, we wanted aliens in this, but now we're saying that there's no aliens, even though there is. Okay, again, I'm sorry, guys. But I really enjoyed this scene because she gets like, she's clearly like unaware of what's going on, and then we get her into this the prison ship, and they're like, oh, did you kill a Jedi? And they're like, no. And they're like, whatever. And we see the one guy that has like the starfish or whatever on his face.
Oh my god, I did not like that.
That was weird.
I'm going to be real right now. I have a like irrational fear of the face huggers from Alien. I hate those things. Every time they show up on screen, like the marketing for Alien Romulus alone has just freaked me out, like the poster and shit. Ugh. But like that was nasty. That thing. Like I just, the moment Osha got it off the prisoner, I was like really terrified. Oh, I know. I thought it was gonna go on her face and everything, and we would see what it does. I'm really glad we didn't. Leslie Headland showed some restraint there, and I thank her for it.
You know what I did like though? Chair droids.
Yes.
I love those things.
Yeah.
I would feel bad to sit on it though. Like if you decide you're shutting the droid chairs down for the flight and you have to like physically pilot it or manually, I would feel a little bad sitting on the droid. But maybe that's just me.
Oh no, that's really good. I would feel a little nervous just in case they wanted to like stage a mutiny and stuff, because all they need to do is just like spring to life and like grab you.
I would definitely feel freaked out if I didn't, like if they were just in chair mode and I didn't know they were droids before.
Oh my god, yeah.
I sit down and then all of a sudden they're like this. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like they speak in your ear like, this is a nice flight.
What was that?
Great maneuver there, buddy.
But like during this, at the same time, we get introduced to Soul for the first time, and I loved the little scene with him speaking to the younglings. I loved how like the looks all the younglings had. I loved seeing Coruscant in this time period on screen. Just seeing the Jedi Temple again, I was like, it gives me the warm and fuzzies. Even though like I feel like every single recap we've done for one of these shows, I'm like, oh man, I love seeing Coruscant again. Even though I feel like we've had Coruscant in so many shows lately. but it's just still like it gets you. And then
hits.
this is a time period that we haven't seen it in live action. So getting to see the Jedi Temple like in a different era of Coruscant where there's less levels to the city, it just the color choices they used, it was so good. I loved it. And I also shout out to Jackie. She's one of my favorites too.
She might be my favorite, honestly.
I love Daphne Keene, so like I think it's great, and I just love her dynamic she has right now with Soul of like
and Yord.
Like she's like with Soul, she's like
what's
needs
wrong with Yord
on everything.
Nothing.
Yord, she's like
he's Yord.
He's Yord.
Okay.
And then I just love in the second to skip ahead real quick. I love how in the second episode Yord has his plan, and she's like, "All right, no, here's what we're actually gonna do.
She's like, let's skip all that, and we'll just send her and make it easy." But here's my question, because we all love animation. Is it just me, or do you kind of get a bit of like Ahsoka vibes from her?
A little bit, actually. Yeah. Like, 'cause she's got a bit of Ahsoka's kind of like sassiness, like in the way that she like challenges Yord and stuff. But she also has flickers of Phantom Menace era Obi-Wan for me, with how like she's a little. She does like to follow the rules a little, and she's very deferential to her master. But that's out of like genuine respect, really. And it's why she's kind of my favorite currently, because any character that will remind me of Obi-Wan tends to like get my approval.
Yeah, she was the only one before. Actually, no, that's a lie. Yord was the only one before this where I hadn't pre-ordered the Black Series for her first, and then I watched the episode and I was like, all right, let's add that to the cart. But no, I'm loving her character so, and I just love how like every time she's like, oh yeah, permission to speak, master, like before everything.
Yeah. And then he says you don't have to keep doing it. And that's another thing I really like as well, is that the dynamic between this sort of little family of Jedi that we're sort of seeing here, including Osha, is the most this has felt like the High Republic to me. Like because one of the things I love in Light of the Jedi is like the section on Elfrona with the little band of Jedi on the outpost, Bel Zettifer, Indira Stokes, Loden Greatstorm, and my guy, the Blade of Bardota. I still want Nick Offerman to show up playing that character in season 2. It just because it'd be perfect. I just love the thought of it. But yeah, this family of Jedi here, like where you got this kind of you've got Sol with his 2 different Padawans, which is a dynamic we've never seen in live action Star Wars. Osha being the former Padawan, Jecki being the current, and seeing how they kind of figure that dynamic out, and also Yord being sort of the cousin that's sort of familiar with them but doesn't quite fit in and stuff, and it's just a little weird. I just really like the dynamic, and I like how Sol has this warmth to him. There's a real warmth there as him as a Jedi Master. Like when
so evident,
the bit when he sees Osha again and he says her name. It really hit me. Like I was like, oh, it's so genuine. Like there's such a genuine care for his Padawan.
I love the little things of how we're seeing that. Okay, this is still a different era of Jedi. Like the scene when he's looking at the hollows of Osha, and Jacki's like, "You still keep hollows of your old Padawan."
Yep.
Which one that I love that we're getting to see 2 different Padawans of the same master during the same story. And how we're maybe seeing like, oh, maybe he's training Jecki this way because of things that happen with Osha. We know something's up, because shout out to Pip, first of all. Just another cute addition to the cute droid family. But we know something's up, that her connection with the Force is damaged, or there's something there where she tries to use the Force to grab her little droid on the prison ship and she's unable to do it. I am like, this is 2 live action shows in a row where we're having kind of a very similar plot line of one of our main protagonists has trouble using the Force. I'm not going to it doesn't bother me, but I'm like, that is convenient that they're doing that like so close to one another. But obviously Sabine and Osha are 2 different characters. So I'm not going to say that they're just like, oh, we're reusing ideas. Like I'm not suggesting that at all. And I think that the reasons for it are different, because Sabine was trained so much later in life, whereas Osha, we see that even back then we find they trained her at 8 and they were like, that's way too old. So like
very like Anakin in the Phantom
very
Menace.
like exactly.
Well, what I was going to say very quickly was like, okay, I lost my train of thought. No, what I was going to say about that was that it reminded me a lot of Cal Kestis in a sense, because it's kind of coming from a more place of being traumatized, because the Force is still manifesting through her, like, because we get that moment where she has that dream, that weird kind of dream that was very kind of Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker-esque, with like they are very clearly in a dyad, the twins, in a sense that they can talk to each other. Although, actually, no, I shouldn't say that, because it wasn't actually May talking to her.
Yeah,
because it wasn't May. I don't think it was May, actually. I think it is Last Jedi, but it's Last Jedi in the sense that they are both being manipulated in terms of their connection. But the Force is still manifesting through Osha. It's just not in a way she can fully control. She's very traumatized, clearly, by whatever caused her to leave the Jedi, because it's very important. Yes, Indara did recommend her to be expelled from the Order for whatever reason, but she said she very much refutes that she was forced out. She says leaving the Jedi was my decision, which, again, Leslie Headland's Clone Wars influence coming in there, like how she loved the Wrong Jedi episode.
There's influences from that. Which that arc takes a lot from The Fugitive, and that's very prevalent in a lot of these scenes. And the Ahsoka trial arc is it's got a lot of influence of that in this first episode.
Ooh,
for certain.
I wonder if we're going to see any of that, because we know we're getting flashbacks. We kind of talked about it earlier. I mentioned Indara's having her banks, so y'all can't be mad when she comes back, because she's not gone. We just don't see her prior in the timeline. But I wonder if we'll see flashbacks of that kind of discussion before Osha left the Order, because I think I don't need to see it, but it's like it'd be nice to see it.
I would like that, and I think it's very possible, because yes, we are targeting these Jedi, which means that out of the 4, I don't think they're all gonna die, but I think we're gonna lose a couple of them. So I think it would be a nice way
to like say it, dude. Soul's gone.
I'm scared for Soul. I'm so scared for Soul.
I was more worried about Kelnaka. But like Soul, I don't want to lose
the warm
either.
the tenderness in his voice and his eyes. I'm like, this man's gone. I hate to say it.
But also, like, did anyone else notice, like, when Yord and Jackie were both like, "Oh, I didn't know Osha had a twin," and he looks just a little bit shifty when he's like there's that pause before he takes a drink. Like, he clearly knows what, like, more about, like, whatever went down on Brendok.
Yeah, no, he's definitely hiding something.
Because I don't think whatever it is going to ruin the Jedi. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the fact that May also thinks Osha's dead.
Yeah.
So, like, something happened on that planet that they do not want getting out. The story that we're told is May started the fire that killed her family. But there's more to that. And that's like one of the big mysteries that we're getting here.
I wonder if the big, and I'm gonna get into this as my biggest takeaway so far. I wonder if the reason most of the Jedi don't use their lightsabers or like use it as a last resort is because of something they did there. Okay, so what I'm about to say is not my original thought. This was taken from my other co-host, Jared the Dark Jedi, over at the Nerd Family podcast. He was theorizing that, and he's like, I hope I'm wrong with this, because I don't want to be like correct on this. That some shit went down, like whatever went the fuck down on Brendok, some shit goes down, and Soul has to use his saber to quote unquote kill May. And so because of that, he's like, Soul is probably like, it just affected him so much that he was like, yeah, I'm not really going to use this thing.
Yeah, because like, but that's an interesting theory.
So,
because like from the first scene,
the
first scene where he is talking with the younglings, you can feel that there is something that is playing on him, that is haunting him, and it wouldn't surprise me if he had to make a difficult choice.
Especially because of one youngling that goes, "I see fire."
I see
And then
fire.
like, all right, lunch.
I see fire.
Like, we're going on break, everybody. We're good.
Because I don't, like there's this little bit of concern there. Like, oh yeah, you need to talk with Master Yoda about that youngling. But I think
that's why I thought that scene when it was in the trailers might have been a flashback, and that was May in that scene. But the fact that it took place in the present day, are like, oh, and then he like does a little transition, like fire. Oh, that child might be a little messed up. But like, oh, here we go. But
I was going to quickly say about the Jedi that I don't think whatever this incident is going to be like necessarily cast them as like, oh no, yeah, you all are evil, you all deserved it. I feel like it's going to be more of a thing of like, oh, that was a tough call to make. I'm not sure you made the right decision there, but I understand why you felt it was the right decision at the time.
Again, it's the beginning of them losing their way.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if the Brendok incident ties into the whole like Sith Lord, whoever they're going to face, that they probably dispose of.
I just had a thought.
It's like, hey, guys, if word of this gets out,
because the big thing here is like, oh, but there's a line in the Phantom Menace that they don't know, that they don't think
like the Sith have been extinct for a millennia.
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view. What is clearly going to happen here is,
well, I mean, we don't even know if it's a Sith. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If it is a Sith,
I have theories about that.
Like,
boom, and they're going to be
like they're probably just going to be like, guys, we just took down a fucking Darksider. This shit can't get out. This never happened.
I think I have a theory about him. This stranger. I think he is a Sith, but I don't think he's the master. I think he's the apprentice. I think that May is. I think the idea of the Acolyte is very similar to Ventress, Asajj Ventress. I think May is his Asajj Ventress, that he's bringing her in to try and take his master out. So I think it's very possible, like Conor said, that they could take this Sith master down. Like, it's very possible. I'm pretty sure that the place where looks like they fight that Sith is on the planet where Kelnaka is. So it's very possible that they could fight this guy in the fourth. All the stuff we've seen could be in the fourth episode. And they could wind up killing this guy. And then suddenly they think, oh, it's all over. But there's actually the Sith Master currently waiting. And, I don't know. Obviously, I know Leslie Headland likes Legends. She's spoken about that, about wanting some Legends influence. So it very well could be Darth Plagueis' master from Legends, and that was his secret apprentice. And, he basically now tries to take May, or possibly even Osha. Like, I'm really interested. I wonder maybe if we'll go for like a thing where maybe Osha and May potentially trade places in terms of light and dark, because both of them have been lied to. And both of them have anger about what's happened. Like, whatever May thinks happened, she is angry. She is like, she like Amandla Stenberg plays it like May is on the verge of tears every time she confronts these Jedi. Like, whether it's Master Torban or Indara, she's emotional. She feels wronged by whatever she believes happened on Brendok. So it would be really interesting to see how much they've been deceived, both of them, and like if that leads them to maybe trade allegiances. I mean, I have another theory about what could happen instead, but like I'll save that for the end.
I mean, that's a good point though, because we always think about the Sith being the ones who deceive people, and it'd be interesting with this whole flip-flop if the Jedi are the ones who deceived Osha. Oh, getting the gears turning.
Yeah, that would be an icky moment for the Jedi, definitely.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Love some complex story points.
Takeaway for this story so far, for the first two episodes, is the huge emphasis on unarmed combat. Yeah, because it's like you really see that sort of like the lightsaber as the last resort concept that's been uttered by George. I think it was George. Really come into play here, and it's like, yeah, martial arts, really cool, but it's like the fact that most of these Jedi that we see use the saber as the last resort, except Yord, which again, fascinating insight to his character for that.
Yeah, he's so quick with the lightsaber, isn't he? Like every scene. I said this to Amy. He holds his lightsaber to light up stuff the very same way Cal Kestis does, which is just like that's cool.
That's exactly what I thought of. It's like, that guy gets it. But like, it's just so fascinated seeing this sort of martial arts side of them, because as we all know, as we've seen in the prequels, the Jedi, in terms of physical hand-to-hand combat, for the most part, not greatly prepped for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
something must have happened. And again, it's, even in the High Republic, from what I can remember, we don't even really read that much of the Jedi like getting into physical hand-to-hand combat. It's mostly them using their sabers. Or
what's the big
Yeah.
line in Attack of the Clones? Mace Windu, like in the first 30 seconds of the movie, we're keepers of the peace, not soldiers. And then they are, by the end of the movie, leading battalions of clone troopers.
Yeah.
I like this theory. I do think that there is a point of, if you notice, both times when she goes up against Indara and she goes up against Sol, she tries to grab their lightsaber both times.
She does.
And the camera focuses.
I think the whole, and again, I don't remember whose video I watched that said this or who said this, but I think the big thing of killing a Jedi without a weapon is you get them to that point that they're beaten, and then you use their own weapon to take them out. And I think that's what she's trying to do, so that can be her new lightsaber.
I think it's a very I'm gonna say I think it's
again. I could be similar way off.
We're think 2 episodes in there. I think it's going to be similar to Charles Soule's comic, where she has to beat the Jedi unarmed, and then she takes their lightsaber and she bleeds the crystal, which we could see happen.
That's the thing that I saw.
And I think that's why, because they may, again, you said that they focus on her taking trying to take Indara and Soul's lightsabers. They also focus in, aside from the fact that it's a cool shot and foreboding, they show her leaving Indara's lightsaber. Even though she tried to take it, she leaves it at the end of the fight because she hasn't earned it in her eyes. Because she
General
didn't
Grievous would never.
Oh yeah, a fine addition to my collection. Like she literally leaves it because she didn't earn it. She didn't kill. Both the times she tries to position herself, and this is again where we get into that complexity. She is trying to position herself as this self-righteous warrior who was wronged by the Jedi, and both times that she takes the Jedi out are through dishonorable means. They're not the means of a warrior; they're the means of arguably the means of a coward, an assassin. She shanks Indara by exploiting with a dagger, by exploiting her compassion for the innocent, and she technically poisons Master Torben. He just takes that shit himself, which is like, Jesus, what the hell happened? That you would rather take the poison? Like, come on, dude.
We've already talked about like all the trauma that these people have, and she plays upon his trauma in that moment.
Yeah,
because he's literally like, I've been waiting for you. We thought we were doing the right thing. Forgive me. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck did you do? That you'd rather kill yourself than tell the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
Something's up.
Dude.
Yeah, because like, and again,
what did you guys get yourselves into?
Like you just said, Scotty, she exploits.
You took the berry. Wow.
Exactly. Which makes me wonder, did Indara take it as well? As Soul,
I wondered if Kelnaka took it.
Yeah, I think he has.
Because Kelnaka, he's just living out his life in solitude. Indara just seems to be to me, a representation of the Jedi being citizens of the Republic still at this point. She's out.
And that's so cool that there's local Jedi.
Jedi are still, they're still out there. They have their own outposts. They're still out. They're not just restrained to Coruscant. The bar patrons there, when May is like, attack me, they even are just like, who the hell are you? Like, they're just like, do you know who this is? So clearly
Trinity for the Matrix. Come on.
Kelnaka, I think you're right, is just he escaped, and
he got disillusioned.
Corbin took the Barash vow,
whatever
and
happened.
Soul is trying to redeem himself by training Jackie, but it's clear that he still views Osha with such compassion and still thinks of her like his own child, which there was that great line when Jackie was like, isn't this dangerous to rely on your feeling? And I don't remember the exact quote, but there was that great line they shared in the first episode that was just perfect representation of what the High Republic Jedi are at that point
learning from memories, I believe.
Yeah,
like if we don't hold on to our memories, we're doomed to repeat them. Something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
And I love that Jackie finishes it with a smile.
We're doomed to repeat it. I think.
Yeah,
great line.
It's very Yoda. It's very Yoda.
It is. Like Lee Jun Jae's delivery as well. Like as you said, this is his first English speaking role, and the command with which he delivers so many of those lines. That man has a really commanding voice, and it's so great to see. For sure.
And I loved when we get the when we go to Karlak, and not only do we see that vision
from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I didn't put that together.
I didn't either. Don't feel bad. I saw it on like somebody's YouTube video. It's like,
this is the planet from the Bo-Katan episode with Ahsoka,
where she smacks Ahsoka's butt.
Yeah, it is like that episode.
That's such a weird first impression for Bo-Katan. Like I remember being like, oh, okay. Little skinny, isn't she? Oh, all right.
Bo-Katan lesbian confirmed.
You're like full Viking mode there, Bo-Katan. Yeah, like just the savagery of those Mandalorians in that episode. It's just like, yeah, I don't feel bad that Ahsoka like quadruple decapitated a bunch of them. Yeah, they were asking for it.
But I do love, like, in a way, just like Soul, like how much Osha's word means to him. That Osha has this vision, this memory, whatever you want to call it, which I thought looked really good.
Yeah.
And she sees Soul and she's like, it was May that did it. And immediately he's like, I believe you. And Yord's over here like, what?
And that smile that he gives her,
I know.
That smile, it's just like
it's
heartwarming.
So heartwarming.
Like I want my parents to look at me like that.
Oh. It's just it's a perfect moment of like just this kind of fatherly bond he has with Osha, and I also like that like it's not diminished with Jackie. It's not that he doesn't feel anything for Jackie. It's just he obviously is very attached to Osha because of what happened on Brendok, but also that he really genuinely wants the best for her. And I do also like that scene in episode 2 of Jackie and Osha kind of bonding, how they sidestep that because obviously Jackie's a little tentative around her at first, but she's interested in learning about Osha because Osha is essentially the closest thing she has to a sibling in a sense.
Oh my God,
I kind of like that there's this kind of sort of sibling dynamic that develops between them where Jackie gradually kind of warms to her over the episode, and even Yord kind of like when he realizes
I like that she's that Yord and Osha there was clearly something was there in the past.
Thought the same thing. I was like, oh, were y'all friends or were you like
friends? Yeah,
it's the High Republic. We horny Jedi is very on brand. Let me just say, I'm looking at you, Elzar man. I'm looking at you, dude.
Yep, that's my dude.
The poster boy.
Poster boy for horniness. In the
anything for more horny in Star Wars, I'll take. But that's just me.
The thing I find fascinating with Yord, and this is where like the sort of integration of the Jedi and the Republic, or like more so like the Jedi being the puppets of the Republic, was really when they're on Karlak and Yord sees Osha. First thing he says, "Stop in the name of the Jedi Order and the Republic." And I'm like, "Yep, there it is."
And then Jackie says it in episode 2 as well.
Yep,
she does the Mace Windu line in the name of the Galactic Senate and the Republic. You are under arrest.
Why are you guys doing this, man?
I know, because ain't nobody gonna listen.
Jedi.
I am the Senate. Perfect.
Not yet.
It's treason then. If we're just gonna do the whole scene.
God, every line is just like with those two.
It's ingrained in my memory.
And people say Star Wars has bad dialogue. Here we are. It's quotable.
Quoting 19 years later.
You're talking about
every line. Exactly. I real quickly want to take a tangent before we get into episode 2 and talk about the costuming of this show. I love it. One, not only does it scratch the itch of the High Republic fans getting to see the gold and whites and getting to see
just solid
the mission robes. I love May's like purple robe. They look so good.
Very samurai.
I love how they dress Osha very sci-fi heroine looks to her you get those little differences between the two of them to just showcase Amandla's dual performance, which shout out to them. They are unfreaking
Amandla's
believable.
doing amazing.
Yeah.
You would think
I
it's two different actors and two different characters.
Yes.
Well, two different characters,
Great.
two different actors.
Ever since I always forget that they were Rue in the Hunger Games, and I'm a big Hunger Games girly. But like it was, I don't know if any of you have ever seen The Hate You Give, but when I saw that movie, I was like,
seen that.
They are the absolute moment, and I think that they're tremendous, and I
love the dual role.
Yeah,
it's great. It's
I'm so glad that like we right off the bat, like we said, we're not even gonna pretend that this is a mystery here. Like
like and the looks again, the looks are everything really with this cast. Like you're like all the cast have like just mastered these perfect like expressions that tell you everything you need to know. Everything about Yord communicates that he is rigid and uptight and all about holding authority. Jecki, there's kind of like a feeling of like trying to like come into her own as a Jedi. Sol, there's you always feel he wears his emotions on his sleeve in a lot of ways. And with Amandla Stenberg's characters, both Osha and May, she communicates such different kind of like emotions with each of them that again, you would swear it's two different actresses in scenes because there's such a determination with Rue and such a kind of ease with Osha in some scenes because she kind of has like hung around with the kind of scoundrel section of the galaxy. It's just really interesting to see an actor take on this kind of role in Star Wars. We don't usually see it unless it's Tamir Morrison.
I loved the moment in episode 2 with Sol. They're like, oh, what's that? And it's like, oh, that's Pip.
The tattoo,
like, no, what's that? I'm like, I've had this
so
exact
cute.
Conversation with my parents. It's so cute.
But he was so good when he was like, doesn't matter what I like.
Doesn't matter what I like.
I'm like,
yeah,
he's a good
they
one.
have had that conversation.
Please be my dad. Please be my dad. Sol.
He's great. Sol has the potential. So he's either going to fall on the Han Solo spectrum or the Din Djarin spectrum when it comes to Star Wars dads. It seems like either compromised dad or like good dad who is learning.
I don't even think he's learning. I think it comes naturally to him.
Oh no, I think you're right. Like he gives Osha space to kind of talk constantly, and even while struggling with his with whatever has gone on down on Brendok, you get the sense he cares for Osha. Like when they have that scene when he's getting ready to confront May and she wants to go there with him, even though he's probably trying to keep her from learning something from May telling her something potentially. He's very correct when she says, I deserve justice. And he says, you want revenge, which is you could kind of also say about May as well, which is, again, I love the dual titles of these episodes. Like not, it doesn't just reflect Osha and May.
A nice way of titling these.
It's showing how like, we're literally flipping things on their head and blurring the line between these seemingly disparate binary of morals that we usually get in Star Wars, and Star Wars is always great when it is able to kind of blur the line and get into the nitty gritty of that kind of stuff. Especially, you see it in characters like Saw in the Jedi Survivor games, Rogue One, Andor. Like those stories are really good at like exploring that, and Acolyte's definitely kind of following in those footsteps really well.
Anything to get more found family Star Wars and like surrogate parent-child relationship Star Wars. It's my favorite kind. So I don't care how many times we get it. I'm here for it. And then I loved how the episode ended with that just brief boom lightsaber cut to black. It's like, okay, we're getting a glimpse. I have my first guess of who it is, but I'm going to save that till we get to the end of episode 2.
I have my guess as well. I think we might have the same guess, but I'll wait and let you.
But we do get introduced right away in the second episode to Torben. We see him. He's in a meditative state. He's taken the Barash vow. We don't get the drop of the line yet, but something's up there. And at first I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. It was a cool scene. But when she was just fighting and she was like, nothing was landing and she was just getting flown everywhere, I'm like, kind of looks a little bit cheesy.
They could have put a little bit. They could have put a little friction or something when she was touching it. That was probably my only complaint. You know what I mean?
I don't think they fully established that like that's just like a a brick wall in the forest there. Like it just looked like she was like missing. But
she's doing a Mr. Mime from Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
She's just got that wall up. You know, she should have realized that there's the door there. You know, Justice Smith figured it out in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. But again, I love the continued dynamic, and then she has to go to is it Chimere or Chimere? I don't.
She says Chimere.
Okay.
She says Chimere.
And we get introduced to him immediately, and he's just like flailing all over the place. Totally. I love Manny Jacinto.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that this is Jason from The Good Place.
I know.
Star Wars.
But he's doing so good, and it's working.
So good, and he gives May with the poison, and we know that there's a connection there because he is aware of May's master's plan. He said, "Oh, you have to kill a Jedi without a weapon." But not. She's like, "Not this one. I need the poison." And the poison is from, as we find out from Osha later, from their homeworld. So it's like, was Chimere also from that planet? Like, I don't know. Like, but we know that there's a connection there. And it seems like he's not, even though he's got this bubbling personality, as we see later on in the episode when he is confronted by May again, he's not just some drunk fool. There's more than meets the eye.
Clearly.
Oh, I think there's a lot more to him than meets the eye because, you know, one of the things he does very subtly before May cuts him off is quote the first line of the Sith code.
Yep.
Peace is a lie, which like, how do you know about that, dude?
Alarms were going off in my head when that scene happened. And I just love that she was like, "It's a lie. I know.
I've heard it before.
I've read Legends. I know what the Sith code is."
I got Darth Plagueis right here, Chimere. Come on now.
Something I thought was really odd, though, and speaking of Chimere and the kind of way that he acts, is this kind of bumbling personality that we're talking about, or he's a drunk or whatever. But the moment, and I guess this is skipping ahead a little bit, but the moment where he like goes up to May when May's pretending to be, or when he goes up to Osha, and then he's like, he gets real dark and a little creepy, and it was a little jarring to me in a good way. It made me uncomfortable. So there's a lot going on with him, and I'm excited for that to unravel.
Definitely,
absolutely. Abso-friggin-lutely. So when we get to the actual scene when May infiltrates the temple again, and it's side to side with the Jedi going to that temple, and we see like Yord following Osha because she sees the vision and she.
God, dude, I was so happy. I just was like, I was so relieved. Because I felt like I was about to get like secondhand embarrassment because I could see it happening. She comes in, you know, they come in, they do the thing, you know, Osha. Yeah, Osha. Okay. I was about to like mix up the names.
Oh, I just did it. Don't feel bad.
So, Osha comes in, looks over Torben's body, and they were just gonna be like, "It's her. She did it.
Yeah.
She killed Torben." And I was just gonna be like, they're gonna take her off to prison. It's not gonna waste, but it's gonna be like this whole like litany of things that happens, and then like Yorn thankfully comes to the rescue and is like, she didn't do it. I was with her the entire time, and I'm like, yes.
I was right there though, because like first she touches the vial, and I'm like, girl, don't touch the vial. They're gonna.
Oh my god!
And then she closes his eyes,
and I'm like.
Your DNA is on this man now. Not that the Jedi are going to go check the DNA, but still, that was like my original thought. And then Yord saves the day. Imagine that. I was right with you, Connor. I was like, thank God for Yord.
I thought it was such a clever way of framing it, though, too, where like we see those scenes side by side, like as they're happening, like they're happening concurrently. But then when Osha gets there and Yord comes in, we find out that the stuff we were seeing with May probably happened hours beforehand, and we're just seeing it now. But again, Torben waking up, taking the poison. What did y'all do if you, instead of admitting your crimes or what you did with May on Brendok,
so this is
what the hell? Like, what the hell made you take the bearish vow and not talk to anyone for a decade, and then just going out of it, just being like, yeah, we thought we were doing the right thing, but I feel regret.
What?
Drinks poison, like
this is the thing.
what did you guys do?
Exactly. What did you do? Like, because
Like,
I
you guys
didn't
had to
recognize
have
him.
killed like Lena So or something. Like, you had to have done that. I'm serious. Like
they
it covered it up.
Yeah, like they just did something like really awful, but like I didn't recognize Torben at first because I'd seen him in the trailers, but I just didn't
realize it was the
recognize
same
him.
character.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's young Torben, right?
Yeah, because Torben's going to be like in the flashbacks, and he's a Padawan there. Like he's got the short hair, the braid, and everything. I'm guessing he was either Indara's Padawan or maybe Kelnaka's, which would be kind of interesting. But like, clearly something happened there, and maybe he was the epicenter of it. Maybe because there's a very brief clip in the trailer of his eyes going dark, of something happening to him. So I think. Because we know that they're going to meet that coven of witches that are led by Jodie Turner-Smith character, who is connected. I kind of think she's playing the mother of the twins because she's called Mother Anasea, and Anasea is their surname. So it's very possible that because this is a theory I have about the twins. I think whatever it is, the Jedi had to do something to separate the twins because they were both very powerful in the Force. And them being together made them very unstable and difficult to control. And it was something that Mother Anasea and her group were maybe trying to exploit. Kind of similar to like, because I've obviously said that I've dread the Mother Anasea's group being connected to the Path of the Open Hand, but given how that group operates in Phase 2, not to get into spoilers, but they have they don't like the Jedi. I could kind of see maybe Mother Anasea was maybe using her daughters as some kind of like weapon against the Jedi, and the Jedi figured that out and dealt with it, but they had to make a morally reprehensible decision in doing that, and potentially, and this is where the Frozen thing kind of comes in, wipe the twins' memories of what happened, implant false memories, because we've never seen a Jedi like erase someone's mind, but they did put that dialogue bit in there where like one of the Neimoidians said, oh, don't do that mind erasing. Oh no, Kaimir says it. Don't do that mind erasing thing that you do. Like, which is like, I was like, wait, we've never seen a Jedi do that though. And then I just thought about it and I went, oh,
well, we have seen a character get mind erased in Star Wars, and he's right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How's it hanging, Connor? Like after dealing with that, how did I that looked painful, that mind flayer? I have to say,
I've been kind of regaining some memories here and there, but like there's this kind of like just black like section. Whenever I try to think about whatever it is, it's just kind of never comes out. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what it is to this day. It's weird.
I guess
like I lost a part of myself.
That one ex-Imperial lady who's now really good with the New Republic people, you were like, it was you. you put me in the mind flayer just because I wanted like Imperial biscuits or whatever.
Oh, Jesus, Elia Kane.
Elia Kane, yeah. I'm really excited to see. Hopefully she'll show up in some more Mando stuff, yeah.
I assume so.
I think whatever it is, I think maybe there was some slightly sinister threat that the Jedi had to deal with. So, because I don't think it will be something that the Jedi are wholly like evil for doing, but it will be something of like, they had to kind of take like preemptive action against someone, kind of because again, what May says to Indara when Indara says Jedi do not attack the unarmed, and May says very emphatically, yes, you do. Like it just with this kind of sense of, oh no, I know you do, and the very fact that you do upsets me. Like, so it's very. I want to know what happened on Brendok.
It's
like Zemo. It's like Zemo with the mission report. It's our Star Wars equivalent of mission report December 16th, 1991.
Oh no! Now I'm getting flashbacks. But no, I'm very intrigued. Like the further we get into this mystery, like when we see May confront Kelnaka, probably next episode, what further comes from that, I am just very excited. And also that Kofar planet that he's on just looks great. It was great to see another like lush forest planet in Star Wars. Again, no complaints whatsoever about how all these planets look. They all look great. And I love that we're continuing the Andor trend of having the like the planet.
That's a Rogue One trend.
That's
like
very
it started
true.
with Rogue One, and I've
Started
been
with Rogue
obsessed
One.
with it ever since. So I love that they do that. I feel like it's a nerdy thing.
it's
Like
clean.
for us, like we kind of love it, unless y'all don't like it. I'm
Oh
obsessed.
no,
No,
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
I love
I
it.
love it.
If anything, it bugged me in Rogue One that they didn't also have Mustafar like flash up because of that. Like,
Yeah,
I think
it's
they
like,
did
come
that
on,
on purpose though, because they were like
Yeah.
being coy about it, like, you know, it's Mustafar, but we're not going to tell you it's Mustafar,
Yeah.
and then
We're
like
gonna
with
keep you
everything else, they're
guessing.
like, and
'Cause,
everything
like, 'cause
else,
I
they're like,
suppose-
yeah, no, it's Mustafar.
Because I
They
guess
don't
if
do
we
it
knew it
in,
was Mustafar, we would have figured it out, wouldn't we? We would have
I
gone
don't
like,
think they
oh,
do it in Tross.
oh, it's
either.
Vader's place.
I don't think they tell us like that first planet is
don't.
Mustafar in the
They
actual
don't.
film.
You have to just basically figure out
Yeah.
that it's Mustafar based on the
Oh,
like the planet and stuff.
Yeah,
don't even get me started.
yeah, but then,
Don't get me started
Yeah,
either.
but then
I won't
in
stop.
Obi-Wan, they're just like, yeah, it's Mustafar. Like it's right here. Like, sorry, guys. But again, I loved getting to see the actual like the plan of like Yord coming up with this like super by the books
Yeah.
plan to lure May out, and
And
then
then Jackie's just like, what if we
Nope.
do this? And then
Skip all
Soul's like,
that.
let's go with Jackie's plan.
Yeah.
And Yord, if you just like quickly look at his face, he's so irritated. He's like,
Yeah.
"Are you kidding me?" He's probably thinking, "I'm the Jedi Knight. She's just a Padawan." Like,
Yeah, like
calm
Yeah.
down, Yord.
it's like I
Yeah,
just saved May from OSHA from getting arrested a second ago. How come we can't do my plan?
Oh my god!
he's
And
like,
then
oh,
when-
I wanted to have the master plan. Hmm.
literally, and then when he's like, "You can't let May use that weapon. That's against the rules." Hello, and
Yeah.
Soul's just like, she knows how to use it. She was a Jedi before.
He's like, I just wanted to use it, god damn it.
It's like,
Which is
you're giving
great.
a citizen a weapon? It's like, yeah, bro, like, come
I think
on
he
now.
says some line about like breaking 13 points of protocol or something. And I'm
know.
like, just like, shut up, Yord. It's
I'm
fine.
also very curious of like when Yord finds out what the
Oh,
doings on
Ooh.
Brendok were, like what his
boy, I
reaction.
didn't even
I feel
Is
like
that
about
going to be a
angle.
thing that kind of breaks his
I wonder.
psyche? Because OSHA at this point, the thing that like she clearly had some shit go down, and so did May. While May is driven by revenge, is what I was trying to say. OSHA still has that belief in the Order.
Mhm.
She's still like, even in prison, was like, no, I have a belief in the Jedi Order. I'm not going to leave. And we're obviously, obviously might not be the right word, but we're probably gonna see that deteriorate with a lot of characters in this movie, like in this show.
Mhm.
Yord, Jackie, OSHA. When more and more of this starts coming out, it's going to show that the Jedi aren't perfect, and it's probably going to be a big symbolism of going from the High Republic era to the more dogmatic era of the prequel Jedi.
Mhm.
And I do love that we do have the way the show looks and feels very prequel-esque. It just feels like we're in that universe still, but it's slightly beforehand, so characters are acting a bit differently and things look a bit different, but it has that feeling of watching the prequel trilogy, which I do
Yeah.
really appreciate. And you can just tell Leslie's love for the franchise is all over this.
Oh, 100%.
And you can tell that like this is well, not officially, but I think a lot of the creatives that we've had working on Star Wars were of the era where they grew up on the original trilogy.
Mm.
Yes.
And now I think Leslie is one of the first ones where
To pull from around
to
the
pull
universe.
from the prequels and have that be what she like. That was the Star Wars that first came out when she started, because she's talked about a lot about how she was influenced by the EU and the 90s role-playing games, and then the Phantom Menace obviously came out after that. So we're seeing like a different generational telling of Star Wars from a creative standpoint, which I do love to see. And I, again, love the original trilogy to death, but it is nice to see Star Wars from not just, well, this is how, Jon Favreau loved the original trilogy, so we're going to pull a lot of this. But like even Mando's pulling a lot from the prequels. But like
now.
but like when it started, it was very Look at all
the
the
gradual
stormtroopers.
escalation of Dave Filoni's influence over the show.
He's
Is
like,
growing.
do you know about Ahsoka Tano, John Favreau? But like, for example,
really cool if you put a battle droid in the finale and said it killed Mando's parents.
But for example, like J.J. Abrams has been outspoken about how A New Hope was his main inspiration, and we don't see much of any inspiration from the prequels in The Force Awakens or The Rise of Skywalker. So like, it's refreshing and I love The Force Awakens, and it's refreshing to see more of that in the Acolyte and in Ahsoka. Obviously, like it feels new, and I love that. And it's not just because that was my Star Wars when I grew up, or the Star Wars that was coming out when I grew up, I should say, because I grew up with both trilogies. What I'm trying to say is I love that we're seeing like we saw the OT child's take on Star Wars. Now we're starting to see a new generation, and I think that's cool.
The prequel child's take on Star Wars. I like that,
and I love that she specifically created a writer's room that was diverse in what their tastes were with Star Wars, what generation they're from, and having people that are on the outside and don't know. Because I think if you're writing a show, that's smart, because then you're gonna not run into the it's like, oh, we here's this super specific thing that only hardcore fans are gonna get, and then that's the voice to be like, all right, are you sure about that? Like, that might not play great for TV. Like,
you mentioned Mandalorian,
that's the reality in television.
Like, everyone talked about Mando and Ahsoka, and yet when the viewing figures kind of came out early this year, Mando Series 3 was the most popular. It got the most like views from audiences, and that's because Mando has been gradually pulling from more and more influences. It's got a little bit of something for everyone, really. If you're a fan of like Rebels, you've got some Rebel stuff in there, like Zeb showing up, which is awesome. If you're a Clone Wars fan, you've got Bo-Katan and Ahsoka. If you're like a fan of the prequels, you've got elements.
I find it crazy that Zeb was in Mando and not Ahsoka. Like, that's still funny to me. He'll probably be in season 2. But
I mean, I was so thankful because we had just lost Tech that same day, and I needed to get over it. Andrew. I'm sorry, I've traumatized Andrew. He thought the Bad Batch like trolling was done because
something else happened that day too on that Bad Batch episode. I
will
never forget.
Now. Yeah, I won't be mentioning that lizard again for the episode. She's gone. She's gone, Andrew. She can't hurt you anymore.
Thankfully, as far as I'm aware, I didn't spot any Trandoshans in this episode, so we're good on that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Andrew's about to go into his Black Chrysanthemum arc. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna be bad. Every time I see one now, it's like, you did this to me.
Have you been personally victimized by a Trandoshan? Andrew says yes.
Twice. Yeah. it's not great.
Speaking of Bad Batch, I've got to shout out Yord's actor Charlie.
Yes, that's my freaking dude right there.
Like, what a dude! Like, it's just so cool.
That made me immediately like, oh man, I liked Yord before this. You're up here now, man.
Yeah, like
my dude.
I've loved seeing him talk about, like, from what I've seen of the press junket and stuff. This dude could not be more happy to be in Star Wars. He just has like a massive smile on his face.
That's what I love to see when these new actors come into it and they're just happy to be a part of it and they're just like loving it. It makes me so happy as a fan. I'm like, these people actually like what they're doing and are excited about it. And you don't want to do something you're not excited to do.
Exactly. There's just real passion there as well. Like, you know, whether it's like Charlie Barnett or Daphne Keane or Amandla Stenberg, like talking about their love of Star Wars and like they love the music. That video with the violin and the fact that John Williams wrote music for her was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, you have people that very clearly love this franchise.
Oh yeah,
working on this show, which again, I think that's a good thing. I don't know why some people like to say they don't, but it's whatever. It's very selective outrage, as you can tell.
Grifter's got a grift.
Grifter's got a grift.
That's it, exactly. Yeah.
Bums.
But
unfortunately,
very much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
bums.
Speaking of the Acolyte, we should talk about that fight between Sol and May, because that was also really cool.
Yes.
Because the first thing I'd like to say is I love with the choreography, my favorite thing about it is how they strike a great balance between it seeming low effort for the Jedi, whilst it also doesn't feel like they're being lazy or anything, or like it doesn't feel boring. It's like they're very non-flashy, but it's still cool because it's like
does
the
he
scene where he grabs the dagger, like reaches for the
so
dagger,
cool.
and it shows that he has them all in his hand. I love
looking for these.
The choreo is so good.
Does Sol even like land a hit on May?
I think he's just straight defensive. I mean, he does kind of push her.
Yeah.
He flips her over.
Now.
She uses the Force to hold her and try to mind probe her, but I don't really think other than that. I think it's mostly just defensive, but not even in a defensive way, because I don't think he's putting forth much effort, because she's just going on rage and he's just like, no, spin you around. No, this ain't what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's so cool because again, it's like it's showing his like just how powerful he is as a Jedi and how like very centered he is in the Force, but also it kind of shows how he feels about May. He's not trying to kill May. He's not trying to hurt her. He's trying to feel her out. He's trying to get a sense of her rage and what is driving her now.
He literally says to Osha, he's like, have faith in May, before he goes off to, confront her. So
yeah.
And then he's got trauma behind that, because even he was like, I would have saved both of you if I could.
Yeah, like he probably would have taken both of them as his apprentice if it were at all possible.
It would have been very, very Qui-Gon of him to do that. Just be like, no, I'll just have two.
Very Kyle Katarn as well. But yeah, like I really liked the fight, and I liked the revelation. And this is another thing I like as well, is that for a mystery show, Leslie Headland and the writers really understand that you've got to give the audience stuff to kind of keep us like, you've got to build. You can't keep taking steps backwards. I liked that any misunderstandings were kind of cut away very quickly, that we characters got up to speed on things, like, so like May learns by the end of this that Osha is alive, and the Jedi starts to become hip to the fact that there is other forces driving May here, that she has a master. She's got a specific plan. She wants to kill specific Jedi and stuff like that. And it just keeps adding. You keep building on the layer of like what came before, and I never feel like we were taking like one step forward, one step back. So like even when May escapes during this fight, we learn interesting stuff. Like the Jedi learn that she doesn't know who her master is. Even this person is so mysterious. Like we won't. I'm very relieved that dialogue acknowledged it, because I think for the first time, Andrew, we will have a masked character in Star Wars for the first time in recent years who actually has a secret identity. This isn't going to be another.
Not again.
This isn't going to be another CX2 or like Marak, where like they really are just a scary dude in a black helmet. Darth.
We find out the name of the character is actually Glup Shido.
We're gonna
Darth Glup.
Unmask him with just some random dude for the third straight show in a row.
Yeah. Don't like, you know? And
the
then
character's
it's like
name is just going to be Glup Shido.
He'll be a white man,
and there's like a montage of him in the background. Yeah, but so do you think this is a good time for us to like kind of say who we think this mysterious dark sider might be?
So my first guess,
I got no idea.
Chimera.
I think it's Chimera as well.
Okay, well, everybody's saying Chimera, and that's why I don't think it's him. That's too obvious.
Yeah, it's way too obvious.
I just think the way that I don't. It might not be my actual guess, but that is like.
Yeah, I don't see it.
That's where
Here's my guess,
I'm
but it's not my
right
actual
now.
guess.
Well, I think
I am
going to Chimera.
My guess is Chimera. I might watch next week's and be like,
oh, I'm all in on Chimera, honestly, because
I just think he knows way more than he's letting on.
Yeah,
the fact that he like quickly overpowered May, or like held his own when she tried attacking him at the end of the episode, and the fact that that he knows so much about May's plan, and he's like kind of like, remember, you gotta take one out without a weapon. It's like, the devil might be hiding in plain sight here. And Leslie Headland keeps saying like, oh, I wanted Manny Jacinto specifically for this role. And it's like, why? And I want to know why.
Things. because because she said she wanted him for this role, and it's because he's known his biggest role is playing this complete doofus in The Good Place. Yeah, like a total himbo in The Good Place. Like, you know, where you couldn't really suspect him of any wrongdoing whatsoever. So the fact that he'd be playing a deliberately evil character would absolutely throw an audience off. But secondly, this kind of like backs up with what I'm saying about him being an apprentice. I don't think he's a Sith master. I think he's a Sith apprentice, but I think he's decided it's his time to take his master out, and he's been prepping May to become his apprentice. Because I think I think she's definitely taking the next phase is her taking a lightsaber to bleed and make her own. So I think they're definitely Sith. I don't think this is another dark side of things. People have speculated before about whether it's a Ren, if this is like the precursor to the Knights of Ren or another Darksider. I do think this is the Sith, and I think that's a Sith ritual specifically. But I don't think whoever this Darksider is with his helmet. I think he's the Sith apprentice, and I think he might get taken out, and we might either at the end of this season or partway through, we might meet his master.
I think it's my second guess is Mother Anastasia.
That's possible too. That was a man. I'm pretty sure that was a male voice on the vocoder, though. But
but it's a vocoder. That's the thing. It's a voice changer in the helmet. So.
Yeah, I mean, they did it with Taskmaster and Black Widow. So, like, they've done it with other stuff.
True.
But that's the first thing that came to mind.
Like Royal Pain in Sky High.
Yeah, so it's not out of the question, but right now I think it's probably a male character, and I think that it's right now I'm leaning Chimera. He's scratching the itch for me. So we have our theories, our early theories about where we think the reveal of this Darksider is going to be. I'm with Don. I do think it is a Sith, and we're going to see how that unfolds throughout the series. But when May escapes, she does confront Chimera the next day. She pulls the dagger on him, and he kind of holds his own, which I'm like, I thought you were just a little drunk shopkeeper, buddy. Like, what's going on there? And May wants to kill him, but Chimera is like, hold on, I have something you might want to know, and that's I know where Kelnaka is, and he's living on the planet Kofar. So
relaxing forest retreat.
Exactly. He does word it that way, and I'm like when I see it, I'm expecting like Naemos from Andor again, like just literal like space Florida, like in the forest. But it was just
like Kelnaka's like chilling, and there's like the Star Wars version, like the Jizz version of like lounge music.
Got a space margarita in his hand.
But if we think about it though, compared to Kashyyyk, which I think we've all played Fallen Order here, Kashyyyk is scary.
Yeah,
Flora and fauna are terrifying. The cute little things that they showed on Kofar so far look a lot nicer and relaxing. So
I'll take those over the giant ass spiders that like jump out of nowhere and try and eat you.
And the slig.
That thing.
In Bad Batch, there was a Trandoshan on Kashyyyk too.
I thought we moved past that. Clearly, you're still hurting.
I'm still hurting.
Empire enabling Trandoshans.
I need to join like a self-help group or something. Yeah,
so you hate Sid too. Please tell us about.
Have you also been victimized by this Trandoshan? It's okay. I'm a survivor. I'll get through it.
I hope there's no Trandoshans on Kofar because they hate the Wookiees.
They hate the Wookiees. That would be an issue.
I'd be more scared for the Trandoshans personally, given that Kelnaka, he's been like chilling there for a while, but he hasn't lost anything. Like those two scavengers coming up talking to it was so cool. Like
rips the gun in half.
I'm so happy for Eunice Sutamo right now that he gets to play a Jedi Wookiee. That's the coolest thing.
This is why I'm really hoping he doesn't die next episode.
Oh no. How would she kill a Wookiee though? Like
that's a great question. I'm just
really impressive.
Him to be like attack me and him just boom.
I mean,
like
she's gonna have to like do some other like dishonorable shit to take him out because I do not know how she would take down a Wookiee. That's crazy.
I hope she doesn't.
I mean, if we think about it in a gaming sense, Wookiees are kind of like a tank.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure he'd be hard to beat, but I feel like if you wear him out, he's not going to be fast.
Maybe.
He could get a little tired.
Yeah, her agility.
May can really move. I don't game that hardcore, so I don't know what May would be considered, but like a fast person who doesn't necessarily do as much damage, but over time they can break down the big one. So I could see it going that way, but I don't want Kelnaka to die.
No.
I want to Jedi on my screen a lot longer than one.
I need those flashbacks better be once an episode if they take him out, because I want Kelnaka more. And I love that they announced that he's getting a comic prequel.
It's Kevin Scott writing it, isn't it? Which is really cool. Yeah.
So more of that, please. I am all for that.
I've also got to mention, because you mentioned about the scene with Chimera and May. I have to mention that like one Padawan character who's like on the Omega Jedi Temple, and the fact that he just, he's watching Chimera and then he just like loses sight of him simply because that cute Padawan girl came up to talk to him. It's just, again, that's very High Republic. I mean, they look very different, but that guy definitely has some like Reith Silas or Ram Jomaram energy in that those two are constantly crushing on every girl that they meet.
That was really cute.
It was.
It felt very High Republic for him to be like, my macro binoculars. Oh yeah.
We know that both of them are. We know that both Chimera and May got off the planet, and
also Yord looking through his macro binoculars, like when May and Sol are like right in front of him
10
fighting
feet from him.
Yeah, like, oh no, I have to monitor their vitals.
He's
some impressive stats here right now. I've got to log this.
What a guy!
He's so bored.
Any predictions on what we think might happen next episode? Assuming Kofar is going to be the main focus. Do you think that next episode is going to be that big scene we see in the trailer of all the Jedi against
if Kofar's the main focus? Yeah, I think that's going to be.
It looks like it is. It looks like it is that planet. So I think either this or episode 4, I think we will get that big confrontation, because it would be very cool, because it would show that we haven't seen as much of the show as we think we've seen, because I could see that being the big kind of centerpiece duel, really, and we maybe get some more intimate duels. Like they're going for maybe a Civil War type structure where you have the big set piece in the middle of the show, and then the ending gets more intimate, because they've obviously said that they want to kind of like, they want to top. Well, they've obviously said that they'd love to be able to top the Phantom Menace duel, and I think that's such a great goal to aim for. Yeah. And I was thinking like, oh, that'll probably be a pretty good duel. And then I saw a clip from a TV spot, this like 2-second clip of Jeki with 2 lightsabers whirling at this Darksider, and I was like, oh, I think they're serious. I think this could be good. Like, this could be really good.
That would be a welcome change.
Oh yeah, because we haven't seen any like dual wielding or like the duels have been themselves been very muted. Like, I mean, my favorite duel was like the Obi-Wan Vader duel, and that was mainly because it took some choreography from the prequels and like interspersed it with some OT stuff. Ahsoka got a little closer to that with like the kind of samurai-esque duels with Marek and Baylan Skoll. Yeah, and you had that very brief flicker of prequel choreography when Anakin showed up, because of course Hayden's got to bring that prequel energy. But
somebody has to.
Exactly, but we've yet to see a full-fledged like prequel duel with that intensity and that almost balletic kind of display of like almost kind of like precognizance, because it's my favorite thing. The one criticism I always heard was people try to say, oh, it's like it looks too choreographed, like it's a dance. Yeah, it's gonna look like that because you're dealing with these characters who are so well versed in the Force that they can almost sense the opponent's move. It's why Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight is so fast paced, so incredibly like balletic almost, because they can anticipate each other's moves. They know it. Like even the fucking bit of them twirling the lightsabers, it's literally because they're trying to figure out a way through their each other's defenses, and they can't because they know each other so well. Yep. So yeah, like I'm really excited to see that duel. Whether it's
get some good stuff.
We're gonna get some good lightsabers, because like we've had the really good like hand-to-hand stuff, and it almost feels like the show's kind of going to us. Oh, don't worry, Like, we know the lightsaber stuff has been quite sparing throughout. Like, it's mainly been Yord lighting his lightsaber as like either a flashlight. Yeah, his super flashlight, or basically to say, hey, no, don't come near me. But I feel like the show's definitely kind of going, oh no, don't worry. When we get to the lightsaber stuff, we're gonna deliver here with
like a lot of the focus so far has been like the Force Fu that they've labeled it. And that's been cool. But a lot of the stuff we've seen has been the stuff that's been in the trailers. So the stuff that isn't, I'm hoping is going to be like, ooh, this is some good stuff. They've talked so heavily about the fight choreography in the lead up to this show. So I feel like if they just don't do anything with it, it's not going to make any sense.
I think it'll be episode 4 too, because there's other Jedi there that besides the main group. So whether or not Kelnaka isn't there, so it does have me worried that maybe May will in fact take him out. But
I think there's a clip of Vernestra with the light whip on what looks like a forest planet.
It looks like Kofar.
If we think about it too, let's like be lame and out of universe. Well, I guess this isn't out of universe, but per the story, Vernestra's like, you cannot go. We need to have a small council. So I could definitely see it being where it happens in episode 4, because they need to go do the council thing and figure out what their strategy is, because she's like, we don't do that, Soul.
Yeah.
Or Soul. We don't do that.
We have a way of doing things. Yeah.
And
like
I could see more of the flashbacks maybe to Brendok happening in episode 3, and also another kind of boring out of universe thing to think, but we're not going to get a ton of dialogue with Kelnaka. No. Like, it's not good. He's not going to have dialogue heavy scenes. So they've got to
imagine the third out there. The third episode is just him like living his life on Kofar, and it's just subtitles, like him talking to himself.
Wookiee roars.
That kind of thing. But you just reminded me about the small council thing, and that does have me wondering, is this going to be where we maybe get an appearance from Yoda or another council member?
I don't think we're getting Yoda this early. I think Yoda might be what
about Yariel Poof?
Yariel Poof I would love. I think Yoda might be like last episode of season 1, because I think we know that this is going multiple seasons. I think he's going to be a heavier focus in the later seasons, but I could be very wrong on that.
I mean, it's either going to be Yariel Poof or Robot
Papa
Chicken
Ren.
Yariel Poof.
Papa Ren.
Give me Yaddle.
What's going on here? I can still use the Force.
That voice is so spot on.
Let's put that to a vote, because am I the only one who can hear myself talking right now?
And it matches up with how much of a goof he was in the Living Force too. So
okay. So it's possible. I mean, they like to take some bits from the like comedy stuff. So like Yariel Poof being a goof is exactly what I'm here for. Definitely.
The brief like 10 chapters I've read of Living Force, Yariel Poof's one scene was hilarious.
He's been one of the best characters in it.
Yeah,
honestly, and Yaddle.
If we're talking Jedi, Yaddle is also a possibility. I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard's done the voice, so who's to say she doesn't show up again?
That would be very Leslie Headland to be like, I'm not going to give you Yoda, but I'm going to give you Yoda in a wig.
Yaddle has been in the High Republic book. She has a role in one of the novels in a really cool way, I must add. But if we're talking Jedi Council members, there is a character in the background that I think looks a bit like Plo Koon. Like on Kofar, there's a Keldor Jedi in the background, and the mask looks very much like Plo Koon. So like if we see like a teenage Plo Koon fighting on Kofar, that would be pretty awesome. I could see Leslie Headland doing that. Like imagine if like he just walks into frame and we hear James Arnold Taylor's like Ian McKellen style voice. That would be the best.
Dave Filoni just pops on screen like, look, he's
look at this. Thank you so much, Leslie.
Imagine the world where the fake concept art they made of Plo Koon and Mando season 2 was just the actual reveal, and it wasn't.
I mean, Star Wars fans still would have lost their minds. Like, I would have lost my mind if it was.
I would have.
Like,
oh my god!
It's equally as cool as Luke showing up Plo Koon, quite frankly, because no one would have expected it. But,
I mean, the Clone Wars made me love Plo Koon and so many other characters, but like, so that's why when I saw the Keldor Jedi in the trailer, I was like, could it be Plo Koon? And I was like, he might be too old. But then I was like, oh, but Vernestra's like 100 something. So Plo Koon could be like, I think they said he was 800 in Legends or something by the time of the prequels. Some crazy shit.
Come on, like, okay, if that's the case, I think it is Plo Koon, because Leslie, I think, is absolutely the kind of person who would go, yeah, you know what, he's 800 in Legends. I like Legends. We're gonna put.
She
Plo
did
Koon
say
here.
that she was gonna pull some things from Legends that haven't been in canon yet, and no one stopped her from doing
Force judgment.
You've already lost, and you don't even know it.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Electric Judgment. That's what I'm
like
thinking
Plo Koon. Oh no, Electric Judgment. Imagine it, I swear, if like my brother's a big Plo Koon fan, and he's been saying for ages he'd love to see someone do Electric Judgment. I'm like, they're never gonna do that. That's so Legends. They would just never do it. I think
I'd love it.
I think this is the show where they would do that. I like Plo Koon. If you told me that like there's the possibility that Plo Koon could show up and use Electric Judgment on a Sith in a show, I wouldn't believe it.
Hey, the High Republic would be the time where that might be okay.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, it's Red Lightning. It's okay that we use this.
This is I real quickly want to go back to something related to May and Osha. That scene where they discover that, or they see each other for the first time. Osha goes to stun May and misses, and May escapes. Do we think she meant to miss?
Oh, 100%.
I think she kind of did, and
I feel like it's pretty damn obvious.
And the looks her and Soul give each other afterwards, he looks extremely disappointed, and she looks like that he knows that she is, or that he's disappointed in her. And I think it's because she feels guilty because she knows that she did it on purpose. And if you think about it too, because at first I was like, really, this was the choice you made. But like, if this is your sibling and your twin, at that, we all know, twins have connections, bonds, because that's how it is. I guess I wouldn't know. However, like, I feel
you're
like
about to drop a bombshell on us. Like, oh well,
yeah, I am a Gemini, so I guess I can relate to it a bit.
So am I. Snap.
There we go. See, so you could probably relate to it a bit as well. And
yeah,
I feel like if I saw my twin, who I thought was dead for the past 16 years, it seems like they were close as children. I don't know if I'd be able to stun her right then and there too, because I'd be stunned physically from just seeing it. And I'd probably, even if I meant to shoot, I would definitely miss. Because I'd be like, I'd have a crosshair moment. Bringing this 100%. Back.
Yeah. You mentioned crosshair. Andrew and I are gonna start tearing up again. Like,
Lieutenant.
I love him so much.
He's an absolute Chad by the end of that show. But I think you're absolutely right about May. About May and Osha, and Osha having complete guilt when Sol sees her again, because she was expecting to kind of meet May the way that we had, and then the first time she sees May is completely vulnerable, and like the first thing she says is Oshi, like this vulnerable close thing, and I was like, wow, this is a really kind of like vulnerable moment for May and Osha, and you can see the fact that like Osha keeps trying to stun her as she drives away. There's guilt. She couldn't bring herself to do it, and she regrets that, because she's so secure in what she knows currently about May and about what happened on Brendok, and you can tell that the rug is going to be pulled out from under both of them, because May has just had that with the fact that Osha is alive. Both of them thought the other was dead, and now they know that's not the case. And I also love that we got a scene with the two of them together, just to show this isn't some kind of split personality thing. We're not going to do that. They are actually twins. They're actually two different people. It's not that kind of thing. I really like that the show is like being very smart about what it gives us, about how it goes, no, okay, this theory is out, this theory is out, we're closing the gap so that you have more and more of a kind of idea of where this is going, which is a great way to do a mystery, to control what the audience is like being able to kind of think about and speculate on. It's just really good.
And that's also great from a marketing standpoint, because it's free for us. We're just going to be talking about it on Twitter, being like, what did you think? What did you think? Oh my God, here's my theory. Like,
it's like the Bruce Almighty clip, like the keyboard.
I need Hasbro to hurry up and just announce, because I've already pre-ordered the May Black series. So announce that Osha one. I'll give both.
They don't have a little tip with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew,
please.
Are you gonna get Pip and like put him in like a little place wherever you've got Lola from the Obi-Wan show, so they can be buddies?
Yeah, right
there.
Oh,
you saved her from Alderaan. That's adorable.
She didn't blow up.
Somebody had to.
Now she's gonna start talking to me again. Yep, there it is. I was like, it's gonna make the second beep, and it did. But no, like that's just the collector in me. Every time I see someone, I'm like, need a Black Series of that, need one of that. That's me with the entirety of Bad Batch season 3. So just hurry up.
I feel you with the collector thing. I'm hoping he won't fall over when I do this, but I've just been able to show this. This is my this has been staring at me for the whole you've been recording Lego Chewie right here. I like my Wookiees. Oh, no, he's awesome.
How's his butt though?
Isn't that the one with the thick
Lego?
Chewie?
No. It's not accurate to the Lego. What is it in Florida where it has like the big thick Chewie?
It's in Florida.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Just put some robes on there and
Disney are ruining Star Wars for me. It's like X-Men the animated series all over again. They took the butt away, so that means it's woke now.
Damn it.
Yeah, and we got man titties in this episode instead of
the
butt from Ahsoka.
I mean, we have gone through. We've barely mentioned that scene with Yord as well. I just think it's so hilarious that like just like like just the awkwardness as well of like, oh, Master Soul, hi.
You should have felt the awkwardness I felt when I saw it. I was like, okay, I'm not mad at this.
Charlie Barnett saw The Last Jedi and was like, you know what? I'd like to get on a bit in on that Ben Swallow action. You know, I'd like to show myself off a little bit there. Like he can
continue to do so, and I will be just fine. I will encourage it.
It's Pride Month after all. Please continue.
Yeah, very appropriate. My favorite bit was Jackie just kind of like just going, Yord, put some clothes on. She's just
Jackie
like big Ray energy there. Do you have something like a cowl or something that you can put on?
She was over Yord before she even like got onto that ship because she was like, he's just Yord.
He's just Yord. He does that, you know. He likes to steam his cloak. He likes to like. It's very it's like healthy. It's like marginally healthier Cyril Khan energy. Like, you know, I'm very regimented and into rules, but at least I don't adhere to a fascist system. So yay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we can wrap things up for the episode. Overall, really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. The mystery has me hooked. I am so eager to find out who the Sith is and what happened on Brendok that they are covering up so much. What the hell?
What happened on Brendok?
What happened on Brendok? And I love Soul. I love both of Amandla's dual roles here, and I love this kind of Star Wars, man. It reminds me of the things I loved when I was a kid, but it's also got a very new spin on things, and I love Leslie's view of the franchise and all of these characters I'm eating up so far, and it looks great, both fight-wise and set piece effects-wise. I'm all for it. Music is great. Let me make sure I shout out the correct. So shout out to Michael Abels, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's done a great job with the music so far. And it's going to be a couple more episodes before like the recognizable themes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start humming this in my sleep, like with all the other Star Wars shows, but I'll get there. Don't worry, because the score itself has been great. So yeah, I think very strong start. I can't wait to check out next week's episode. So what were your overall condensed thoughts?
Good. Well, like it's just really great way to bring the High Republic on screen to balance kind of like a lot of general audiences like first look at this era. I really hope this like encourages even more people to get into reading the books and the comics and stuff. Like just from seeing this era, because it's like I love the characters. I think the characters are they really feel like they fit in with the era that we have seen in those books and comics and stuff. And the mystery is just really enthralling. And I like the way in which as you said, Leslie Headland has kind of like been interpreting the Star Wars kind of galaxy. It feels very authentically Star Wars, whether we've got that solo Star Wars story style like title crawl at the start, which was great, or the fact that we're back to the closing credits having that kind of classic Star Wars look. It's just it's mixing in a lot of the kind of recognizable stuff that we feel with a lot of new stuff, and that's great.
I also love that it took from Ahsoka and Solo and had the kind of sort of opening crawl at the beginning of it. That was very much needed, and I
for sure.
More shows need it. I don't know why they don't do that for every show, but that's just me. But yeah, no, overall, really dug it, and I can't wait to see where the show goes. So thank you again to Scotty for coming on here.
Thank you
for joining us for the first time, talking about the Acolyte. For those unfamiliar with you, where can everyone find you, and what are you up to these days?
So you can find me on all social medias, mainly YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, talking all about Star Wars, believe it or not, at Scotty Holiday SW. And I will be covering the Acolyte, all 8 episodes on my YouTube channel, so make sure you check it out if you liked what I had to say here.
Perfect. Conor, it's been a while, so where can everyone find you on socials, and what have you been working on?
Sure, yeah. Twitter, Depa Banana, Instagram, ConmanJFO. Here, obviously. You can also find me over at the Nerd Academy podcast, where I talk Star Wars over there. You can find us on our website, nerdacademypodcast.com. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, pretty much any and all channels. I co-host, and co-write trivia questions for Star Wars Trivia League at In a Galaxy Trivia on Twitter. You can find all of our past matches over at the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel.
Perfect.
And yeah, that's about it right now.
All right. Donovan, as for yourself.
So you can find me on Twitter at Donovan Mead, TikTok at Donovan McComish, Instagram Donovan_McComish, which is the same handle for Threads, and Blue Sky. You can find me at donovanmccomish.bsky.social. Like Conor, I am also a question writer for Star Wars in a Galaxy Epic Confrontations. As he said, you can check out all of our past matchups on the YouTube channel, and also like Conor, I am a writer and producer for SWEF Fiction, which is a collection of
the site's down right now, so I didn't bother.
Yeah,
it'll be up sometime again.
It will, and we all look forward to that day because it's going to be awesome. SWEF, or Star Wars Editor Fiction, is a collection of short stories that we try to stay within what is considered canon, but we will try and we do our own thing. We do our own thing, and we like to lift a few things from legends that we like. I have written one story currently that came out in 2022, just after Obi-Wan wrapped. It is called Scars of War, and it takes place 5 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, where we find a clone trooper called Blister, who abandoned the Empire after Order 66 and has his relatively peaceful life on the Outer Rim world of Kivo interrupted by the arrival of a Jedi survivor named Shar Kun. And the rest of the story goes from there and explores how they deal with each other and the trauma related to those to the events of Order 66 and the dissolution of the Jedi Order. So, if you like Star Wars and pain, definitely give it a read. It was a lot of fun to write.
As for myself, you can find me Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Starlight Andrew. You can follow the pod on Twitter at For the Repub Pod, and on Instagram and TikTok at For the Republic Pod for further updates on the show. Also, make sure to support us on all your podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, helps us out a bunch. And also subscribe to our YouTube For the Republic Podcast to get the glorious video versions of these episodes. And you can see our beautiful faces as well, which is just a little bonus that we can give you. We missed May, not the character, the month. So we are still catching up on some stuff we missed. So we will have our Tales of the Empire episodes peppered in throughout our Acolyte coverage, just on weeks that Don and I can get to them. We did get to our Bad Batch Season 3 finale episode which I alluded to earlier in this episode. You can check that out on the channel and on the podcast feed now. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll be continuing our Acolyte coverage weekly. And once that's all done and over with, we can get back to Clone Wars. We are on season 2 right now, and we'll finish it in about 8 years. So thank you for joining us on the Acolyte premiere. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, may light and life, and may the Force be with you. Always. Nope. Fuck that up. Hold on.
Do I need to say something?
No, you're fine.
Oh, no. Yeah, Andrew wants
do I need to do
Let's
something?
keep it. Just go with it.
Till next time, for light and life, and may the Force be with you.